The Porsche Taycan is a truly amazing EV. Staggeringly capable, brilliantly quick, and beautiful inside. How could you possibly make it any better?
By making it an estate. In this review, we're going to explain exactly what the Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo is, and we're going to tell you whether it's any good or not. But before we start, make sure you're subscribed to our channel, and don't forget, go to whatcar.com for a great deal on your next car. So first, what is the difference between the standard Taycan and the Cross Turismo? Well, to angle this as the kind of off-road version of that car, you can find some of this plastic body cladding around it to protect this rather lovely paintwork, which is ice grey metallic, £1,683, in case you're wondering. The car also sits 20mm higher than the standard car, and you can raise it another 10mm in lift mode if you've got the optional off-road pack. But the main difference is at the back here. Now, it might be a bit of a stretch to call this an out-and-out estate car, but you can definitely see the roof line has really been stretched out towards the back of the car, which should offer more rear headroom and more boot space. Plus, the saloon opening from the standard Taycan has been swapped for this hatchback. So, what's the impact of all this? Well, the truth is the boot isn't actually loads more practical than before. But when the rear seats go down, that's where you do notice a big practical advantage in going for the Cross Turismo, because you've got all this extra storage space up top here. Plus, because you've got this hatchback opening, you've got a wider loading aperture as well. But the bottom line is the boot isn't amazing by fast estate standards. So an Audi RS6 or a Mercedes E63S estate both offer quite a bit more storage than what you get in the Taycan Cross Turismo. And actually a Tesla Model S offers more storage room as well. It is handy having this extra storage in the front though for the charging cables. While the boot might not be amazing, the extra rear headroom that you get is very noticeable. So sat in the back here, it does feel quite open and airy, to be honest. So it doesn't feel cramped at all. I'm just under 6 foot, the driver's seat's in my driving position. You can see I've got a decent amount of clearance above my head here, and legroom is also pretty good. In fact, the head and legroom that you get in the back of the Taycan Cross Turismo is more than what you get in the Tesla Model S. Something else that's useful in the Cross Turismo is that this car and the regular Taycan only get 4 seats as standard, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. But you can, if you're willing to pay extra, get a middle seat in the back here, so you can seat 5. Now in the regular Taycan, we'd say probably don't bother, because this middle seat is raised so high and the roof is so low that the seat is basically unusable. But in the Cross Turismo, because you've got all this extra room above your head now in the back, it means that you can add this middle seat, and actually an adult can sit in it and be perfectly fine. It's not amazingly comfortable, but my head isn't pressed up against the roof, and I could sit back here without too much bother, to be honest. So that definitely is worth adding, especially for the fact that with it, you can fold each of these 3 rear seats down individually. If you don't go for the extra seat, you can only put these rear seats down in 2 lumps instead, which isn't quite as practical. Now, given the rough and ready exterior of the Cross Turismo, you might be a bit disappointed to see that this interior is actually just the same as what you get in the regular Taycan lineup, to be honest. The only new thing to point out is this optional compass on the dashboard here, which also displays your altitude and the time. But otherwise, this is the same superb interior that every Taycan gets. So that means that all the switches, all the materials, all the panels, it just all feels incredibly plush, really upmarket, and the build quality certainly is miles better than anything that a Tesla can offer. There's also a lot of tech in here as well. So you get these 3 screens as standard, but you can have a 4th if you want to pay extra, so that your passenger can have a screen up here that displays the speed and helps them control functions like the sat-nav and media and other things like that as well. And generally the tech is pretty good in here. It's all got a nice attractive layout, and the touchscreen is reasonably responsive too. From where I'm sitting and from where I have the steering wheel set up, I can't actually see the whole driver display here. Now this is a problem we also have in the latest 911 as well, and if you want to see our full review of that car, then just click on the link at the top of the screen there. But from where I'm sat, the top of the steering wheel blocks quite a lot of this digital driver display, and also there's not many physical buttons. In fact, I can't really see any that are useful for the infotainment or any of these touchscreens here. So
That means that you've got a lot of touch sensitive buttons, and on this panel down here you've got this haptic button as well, so that when you press it, it kind of gives you a sensation of something being pressed that's not a button but is a screen. And it's just all a bit fiddly, to be honest, and having these touch sensitive buttons on the driver display, but the look, the build quality of everything, and the actual functions that you get with the infotainment system are all really good. This might not be a completely perfect interior, but by electric car standards, it's pretty close. So is there any real noticeable difference between the regular Taycan and the Taycan Cross Turismo on the road? Well, in terms of pace, not really, no. So we're in a 4S, which is our favourite version of the Cross Turismo, and it's around 100 kilograms heavier than the equivalent version of the regular Taycan, but it's only 1/10 of a second slower from 0 to 62 miles per hour. So sure, 4.1 seconds isn't 4 seconds, but that is still pretty quick. This car gets 483 brake horsepower, which jumps up to 563 brake horsepower for short bursts with the kind of overboost function that it has. And the way that it delivers its pace is properly incredible. And you can go even quicker still. So the lineup starts with the 4, then you've got the 4S, then you've got the Turbo, and then you've got the Turbo S. And yes, maybe you do lose something dynamically by going for the Cross Turismo. Because of that higher ride height it gets, then there's a bit more lean through fast corners, there's a bit more vertical movement, but then with that extra suspension travel, the car gains quite a lot as well. The way that this car rides feels like it was tailor-made for British B roads. And the reason for that is that, especially if you put it in sport mode, it feels really hunkered down, low to the ground, like a proper performance car. But there's still enough give in the suspension to mean that it can basically float over really rough, broken bits of tarmac. So in that respect, it is superior to the regular Taycan, because in the Cross Turismo, you can just fly down these British B roads in amazing comfort, really, without the fear of the car bottoming out or the front splitter scraping on something. So, like the standard Taycan, the Cross Turismo is phenomenal on the road. And now, with this extra ground clearance, four-wheel drive as standard, and an off-road pack, is this the ultimate rapid go-anywhere EV? Well, no. The odd rough green lane or muddy car park shouldn't be any bother for this car, and we reckon most buyers will welcome the extra capability over the regular Taycan. But if you want to go rock crawling in comfort, then this isn't the car for you. Good news though, because if you're buying the Cross Turismo to really enjoy it on the road, then you can do so for quite a few miles at a time. And that's because this car comes with the higher performance battery as standard, which in the regular Taycan is a very expensive option, and it's one that you definitely should add. So it's great that you get it as standard with the Cross Turismo. So that means that in the various different forms that you can buy this car, the WLTP official claimed electric range starts from around 260 miles in the most powerful version of this car, and it goes up to about 280 miles in the least powerful version of the Cross Turismo. Now, just like any other electric car, you won't be able to achieve those figures in genuine real-world driving conditions, but you should comfortably be able to get more than 200 miles on a full charge. And we know that because we put a Taycan through our real range test, where we drove it from full until it was completely flat and dead. And you can see the full results of that test by clicking on the link at the top of the screen. The Taycan can charge at speeds of up to 270 kilowatts, which in ideal conditions gets it a 10 to 80% charge in just 20 minutes, which is actually quicker than what a Tesla Model S can manage hooked up to a supercharger. But the bad news is that there's only a handful of locations in the country where you can actually get that maximum charging speed. So most of the time, if you need to charge when you're out and about, you're probably just going to be using the regular, slower public CCS chargers. So the Taycan Cross Turismo might not have the charging infrastructure or the range to match a Tesla, but it is undoubtedly much better to drive. It feels like a properly incredible performance car, whereas a Tesla just feels like a really quick electric car. Starting at around £80,000, the Cross Turismo isn't cheap. And being a Porsche, you're inevitably going to end up ticking quite a few boxes on the options list, adding thousands of extra pounds on top of what you pay for the car. For example, this test car has got £14,000 worth of extras on it. But what you do get as standard is air suspension, and you also get the higher performance battery as well. So if you take a Cross Turismo and compare it with an equivalently spec'd
Taycan, then the price difference really isn't much. And what you get for your money is something that is still staggeringly capable on road. You get some of that off-road styling as well. You get that B-road ready suspension setup, and you get some extra space at the back too. So is it worth it over the standard car? Yes, absolutely. But whichever Taycan you buy, you are getting a properly sensational performance car. If you want to read more about the Taycan or any other new car on sale, go to whatcar.com, where, if you click on the link, you can also go straight to our deals on some of the best fast estates around. But before you go anywhere else, make sure you're subscribed to our channel and tell us in the comments below, what do you think is the perfect Taycan?